Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Conveyancing Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Matthew, your host, and I'm joined today by Thomas, my co-host. How are you doing, Thomas?
I'm doing fine. Another week, another podcast. This week we are on episode 9, if I am not mistaken, which is crazy. It's 9 weeks.
Yes, next week will be our number 10. That'll be a big milestone for us.
Yeah, we started at number 5, and now we've got number 10 as our milestone, and then 15, maybe 20, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Alright, please subscribe to keep getting news like this, or visit any of our other platforms if you want to consume in a different way. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Anchor FM, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And a disclaimer, we are not offering any legal advice, we're just offering an overview of the conveyancing news. Shall we dive into the news stories this week?
Let's go for it. I'm ready, and you're ready, and everyone else is. So, starting off this week, we have an article from the Law Society Gazette. It is an exclusive. So, we covered an article about this lady, I believe last week. She was a junior solicitor who had been struck off because she had lost some files on a train. I think she'd left them on the train, and then, obviously, she never got them back. This ended up, she ended up being struck off by the SRA itself, I believe. And the company, it's all a bit of the company that she had been working for just happened to be the SRA's go-to, so they had to get another law firm to help them with this. So this is talking about it. This is a follow-up. So this junior solicitor has tried to appeal this her being struck off, because she doesn't see, well, I don't think many people see it as very good. She's even prepared herself a GoFundMe page, which she uses to get funds to help her in this battle. What do you think about this, Matthew?
Yes, she did work for Capsticks, the SRA's legal advisor, and Capsticks didn't actually report the incident to the SRA, which the SRA have got angry about. They've written to the firm to remind them to report the misconduct. And if I remember rightly, she left a briefcase on a train, and it wasn't even her briefcase, it was like a colleague's briefcase. It's not like it was even her own briefcase. It's all very strange. But she's got a lot of money through GoFundMe. She's doing the work pro bono, which means she's representing herself in the Solicitors Disciplinary Tribunal. So we mentioned, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but she's saying that the whole incident's had a massive effect on her, mentally. She's been having panic attacks and stuff.
Yeah, it's not been very good for her, but hopefully everything sorts itself out. I mean, this is good. At least she's trying. She's definitely trying, despite the fact that she's got some mental issues because of what's happened. She's still going for it, and I think that's quite respectable.
Let's just pop up that GoFundMe. She's got a target of 40,000, which is pretty high, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's already got 4,400, so she's got about 10%.
That was created a day ago, by the way, so she's already gotten $4,000 in one day.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. There must be a lot of people who feel for her, because I think if she's young and she made a mistake,
a
mistake. She's currently working at an NHS call centre as well, so that might get her some sympathy, because at this time, frontline workers are very respected, aren't they, for helping deal with the.
That's actually good, though. I'm glad she managed to get a job. After this, she's managed immediately to get another job.
Yeah.
which is great. Even if even if her financial means are going to be extremely limited because the job isn't as maybe it isn't paying as much as any other legal profession she could have gotten. At least she's gotten another job, which I mean that's great. Even though she is apparently dealing with these mental issues she's gotten from everything that's happened, it's strange how she seems to be doing okay.
Yeah, the main point about it all was that she lied, because they say the SRA accused her of dishonesty, and it was like she was struck off for lying to colleagues. So it wasn't about leaving the briefcase as much as lying, saying that she didn't lose the briefcase, and then it turning out that she did. Like maybe she was just trying to cover it up until she could get it back, or she was just scared to tell the truth. I don't know.
Well, I mean, when you're a junior, I think we already said these things. When you're a junior, when you're young and you're just starting out, of course you're going to be more, if you lose a briefcase with important documents that some random colleague has entrusted you with, of course you're going to be panicking. You're going to be thinking, how am I going to get this back? I'm not going to tell them just yet, even though it probably is the best course of action, but maybe it would have ended the same way. Just instead of her being struck off for lying, she would have been struck off because she lost the briefcase. I feel like it might have just ended the same, really. So unless she'd never taken the briefcase.
Yeah. Let's move on to this story about this solicitor doing Disney Frozen lockdown parody.
Yes, this article is from Legal Cheek, and Charlotte Fisher is a London lawyer who, as Matthew just said, has created her own Frozen lockdown parody. So it's the famous song that was in Frozen. She's decided to recreate it and and turn it into a "Let Me Go" instead of "Let It Go." The song itself is quite, I'd say it's quite entertaining. While it has
she's dressed the dog up as a unicorn or something.
I don't know. It might be a character from Frozen, or she's just decided to put something on it because, Frozen, it's cold, so she put something on the dog.
I must admit, I'm not big on Frozen. I see it advertised everywhere, but I don't think I've actually seen it, which might make me unpopular with everyone that loves it. But I'm sorry to say, I might have to go and watch it now.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it either. I'm not saying I see it like a lot as a kids movie, even though it probably is. But I don't know.
It's more for little princesses, isn't it? But she's trying to raise funds for the NHS, which is pretty good. She's a London lawyer, and she's obviously stuck at home, so she's trying to make the best of it and do some good. Nice.
Oh, she's dressed her dog up as the snowman that appears in the movie.
Oh, is it? Why has it got something sticking out of its head? Is that supposed to be a carrot? That's
supposed to be the nose. It's supposed to be carrot, yeah. Yeah, well, either way, if you want to support the NHS, you can go donate to her
Just Giving page.
To her Just Giving page.
She's got 485 of her 800 target, or maybe it's gone up by now. Oh my gosh, gone over 800 now.
800 is a small sum, but I guess it helps. Every bit helps.
Well, maybe she didn't think it was going to go viral. She just wanted to make a bit of money, but obviously this could go viral, couldn't it?
Well, actually, it's only 39 supporters, which means every one of them must have given at least... Wait.
Look, a lot of these have very recently donated. Maybe that
last donation was 10 minutes ago.
When
that's what I mean.
Was the whole thing set up? When was it set up in the first place? There's no date on it.
No. It's very confusing that she's gotten 870 out of like 39. A lot of people must have donated like 200 or something.
It looks like the husband filmed it, and then Henry the dog helped out as the snowman.
Well, yeah, if you still want to donate and help her out, help the NHS out, definitely go check her Just Giving, and if you want to see the video, you can always just search "Let Me Go." It will appear because it has gone viral, as we've said. Moving on, the next article is from the Negotiator, and this article states, charity with links to property industry to be investigated over serious concerns. This article is covering a charity by the name of the Ashley Foundation, and its recent issues, because the if I'm not mistaken, the CEO, Lee Dribbin, has recently purchased luxury goods on his personal credit card, which these personal goods were reimbursed by the charity.
Yeah, it looks like it's a successful charity, like helping homeless people in around Blackpool, and it's been running quite a long time, since 1997, and it's estimated to be worth 4 million. It's got assets of 4 million, and the way it makes money is the housing benefit, which is given to his residents. You know, he basically takes the housing benefit in exchange for them to live in his houses, I guess, or in the charity's houses. But yeah, the irregular activity is they've found that he's been paying off his credit card bills with charity money. I mean, they do say luxury goods. I don't know what that means. What's he been buying? Just things.
I mean, I commented the same thing as I'm about to say earlier when I was covering this. When you think of a charity, you always think of I don't know. You always think of like, is this going to be a legitimate charity, or are they going to use my money for different purposes? I think that's something that makes a lot of people back away from charities, because they don't want to risk their money being used just for some person to buy themselves some luxury goods or to pay their own credit card bills off. I mean, I'm not going to lie, a charity could offer, it could serve as a job as well. I mean, if you work in a charity, you probably would get paid, unless it's a job or just a voluntary job. But in this case, he was definitely using the charity money that was donated directly. So, you know, that's something that you shouldn't do, and that's something that scares everyone. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Like, stories like this just make charities more questionable. Like, well, let's move on to it's another one from the Negotiator.
Oh, look at that. So this article is talking about the right to rent regulation. It says right to rent checks to continue despite latest legal challenge. I didn't.
Yeah, right to rent. We looked it up because I think we got confused with rent to buy or right to buy.
Yeah.
We thought right to rent was that someone actually has the right to rent a place, but it's actually a new. Well, I don't know how new it is, but it's a scheme by the government requiring that landlords have to check that anybody who lives in their property has to have the legal status to live in the UK.
Yeah.
So someone's challenging that scheme. Campaigners are challenging that scheme. I don't know what this campaign group is. The Joint Council for the Welfare of Immigrants. So they obviously want undocumented immigrants to be able to rent properties. And that has been rejected by the Court of Appeal, saying no, we will continue to run these right to rent checks.
I mean, I guess it's very simple. I don't know, if you don't have the right to remain in the UK or live in the UK, or in England, I mean, or maybe it is the entirety of the UK, if you don't have the right to be there, or live or right to rent, as this is called, then I guess you can't rent. But it's
if someone who does have the right to be in the UK rents the house and then lets undocumented immigrants in it, there's not much the government could do about that. So it kind of ensures that the undocumented immigrants aren't living in isolation from the normal community, I guess. Because if they were able to rent on their own, then they would there'd be pockets of them that would never meet anybody who sort of is a documented person. But I don't know. I mean, obviously this means that anybody who lives in the house is the agent. It's the landlord's responsibility. So I guess if the immigrant got caught and said, I was living in that house, and then they said to the landlord, you should have known this guy was living in your house and told us, then I suppose that it's a bit of a headache for landlords.
Yeah. It's... yeah.
But if you're a landlord, you should know who's living in your house, though, no?
I mean, if you accept illegal people regardless, illegal people, if you accept people who don't have that right, who don't have the right to, remain in the UK, or, whatever sort of right is necessary, then, and you let those people in, knowing that they're like that, then I don't really know, then it wouldn't be something that you wouldn't know of. And since you're not reporting it, I guess you could get in some serious trouble if you were found out. But I think there might be a lot of people that do that, and I'm not sure if they're all going to be checked out or if they're going to be caught. I'm not sure.
There's an interesting bit at the bottom here that originally all right to rent interviews, it says here by estate agents. I guess the estate agents do rent. I know that if you're a landlord, you can get the estate agent to do all the work for you, all the rental and even dealing with property maintenance. But it says that originally the agents had to do everything, see all the documentation physically, but during the coronavirus crisis they can do it by Skype, and they're allowed to accept electronic copies of identification.
Right.
That's a bit. Maybe that'll stay like that after the lockdown.
Yeah, but the thing is, if they were to suddenly find out that one of their tenants is it doesn't have the papers, is undocumented, or if they already knew about it and they have a couple tenants that are already undocumented and they had to, give all this information to them, what are they going to tell the person, to kick them out during the lockdown, or are they going to just, put a massive fine on this person? I'm not sure what they are looking to do. Yeah, because if it's the coronavirus right now and the lockdown and, people shouldn't be going outside, then I don't think this is something they should really be doing just yet. They should, tone it down.
I think this is from before the coronavirus.
Oh, I see.
But I don't, like I say, these campaigners, they must be worried about the welfare of these people to be going and complaining about it. Or maybe they're people that were making money out of undocumented immigrants before, and now their livelihoods kind of threatened. So,
I don't doubt that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to be sympathetic, but, on the one hand, the government, people are concerned about immigration. So the government are trying to do something about it, and then they try to do something, and then people complain that they're not allowed to do that. So it's kind of can't win either way. Let's go on to the BBC now.
Sure thing. There's the next article, as Matthew just said, it's from the BBC, and it says, coronavirus, demand from renters slumps amid lockdown. So this is something to be expected. I think we've been talking about this past weeks, how obviously the demand has been going down because of everything that's happening. It makes sense. So this analysis is quite a logical analysis. It's basically stating that the demand for renting has gone down, apparently by 42% since the start of March. This is for obvious reasons, which is the coronavirus and the lockdown, and it also talks about the buyers v renters. What do you think about this, Matthew?
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? And we've done articles along this line before, along these lines. I mean, I don't know I know that the market is still running. Like, I know that firms are still doing transactions, so obviously you can move during the lockdown. I suppose it depends on the conditions and whether you were already in the middle of a transaction. But rental demand, I mean, is it that people aren't moving into other rentals, like aren't moving between, they're staying put in their rental property whereas they would normally have moved? But I mean, the same number of houses should be rented, surely, like, because everybody needs to be in a house.
Yeah. But so everyone would logically, just be in a house at the moment renting.
It must be like the turnover, the demand for new rental properties. It's like people looking to move into a better property or whatever. And then it says here that house sales as well are down a lot, obviously. Comparing to 2019, it's down about 70% compared to this time last year.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, we all know why.
Yeah, there's nothing, the mortgage companies aren't giving out any mortgages without large deposit, and no one's actually allowed to move, so.
Yeah.
And this bit at the bottom, it says that rents are still likely to rise in the future. I would have thought you might see a small drop, or short-term drop in rents, but obviously not.
Yeah, but I mean, these drops that are happening now, they shouldn't be regarded as something vital or important in the history of the market, because it's due to these circumstances. Of course, they're all going to go down. If it was normal, if there was no coronavirus or no lockdown, and then there was drops like what's happening now, then it would be more impressive in a bad way. It would be more like, wow, this is happening. A house
is a long-term investment. It's not short-term. Even if the prices do go down temporarily over a long period of time, it should even out, shouldn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, after the coronavirus, everything might, it might stabilize. It might go back to what it used to be, or it might go above. These prices might go more than they were originally. Like, we're not sure what's going to happen, but
this last little bit, it says landlords themselves can request a mortgage holiday from their lender. So it's kind of like, if the landlord can take a mortgage holiday, then there's no need to pass on extra costs to their tenants, because they could be like taking a break from their mortgage.
Yeah. So, concluding that one, let's move on to the Daily Mail. So, this article from the Daily Mail talks about 1.2 million households that have already taken a mortgage holiday. So, we have talked about the mortgage holiday since, I think, week 1 or 2, when we first talked about it, when it was first revealed that the banks would possibly allow it. And I think this is the first article we have looked at that is finally talking about the people who have managed to get the mortgage holiday and not the people who never got it, or how it was a bit of a difficult process. Here it says that 1.2 million households have taken this mortgage holiday, but apparently experts are warning that some could struggle to remortgage as a result. So this article also says that some banks are saying that they might not loan money in the future to these specific people who have taken a mortgage holiday.
Yeah, so that's quite high. I didn't really expect that many, to be honest. I'm not sure how many households there are in total. I guess I should have thought about that. But I mean, would there be, say, 30, 40 million households? So we might be talking 1 in 40. So 5% or something, 4 or 5%. And yeah, it says the vast majority of these will have been financially hit by coronavirus. So I don't know whether they're just people that couldn't work from home. I imagine builders, maybe, plumbers, and I don't know. I was thinking the other day, I mean, if you have an emergency plumbing job, you have to be able to get an emergency plumber now, if like water's spraying out in your house or whatever.
Well, I'd imagine. I mean, I hope, because it's kind of important, isn't it?
Or if your gas is leaking and it's going to blow up.
There must be something of the sort.
They must allow essential, maybe in conjunction with the police sort of escort them around or whatever to make sure they don't infect anybody else.
I mean, important jobs, maybe like working at a bank or maybe even a plumber. I think those might be some important jobs that they do allow. Like if you've got a vital job or a job that's important. But I think any job really, you are allowed to keep even a shop. If I'm not mistaken, you're allowed to keep just a shop open, but you have to limit the amount of people that go in there. I mean, I think everyone would regardless, even if it wasn't a specific rule. So there probably will be plumbers still available, even if it's a lower amount now. So say before there were like, in a town of a couple thousand people, maybe there were 2 plumbers. Now there might be 1. You know, maybe it takes longer for them to get there, but there probably will be plumbers.
Yeah, I think if it's true what these experts are saying, that anybody who takes a mortgage holiday will be penalised in the future, I think that's scandalous, because I mean, there are people with genuine, financial problems right now, not due to their own fault. So if the mortgage company puts you on a blacklist and says, oh, he used government help for 3 months, it's not even a very long period of time, just to have a short break from their mortgage, and then if they say, oh, we're not going to lend to you in the future, we're going to tell everybody not to lend to you, that just seems scandalous.
Well, yeah, I know. It doesn't seem very nice, does it now? It seems...
I mean, I'd love to hear their point of view of why this is a good idea, because, maybe they have got a reason. Maybe they're like, look, these people could have paid their mortgage some way or another. Or, I mean, is it possible just to pay the interest on your mortgage and not pay back any capital for a few months? Not a full holiday, just reduce, make a minimum payment or something. Maybe that would get you out of that conundrum.
But I mean, knowing the bank, or knowing the banks, they most likely wouldn't give a mortgage holiday to someone who can pay off the mortgage tenfold, for instance. So those kind of people are out of the picture.
But these people have already been allowed the mortgage. They've gone to the bank said, yeah, you can have it, and then gone, well, we're not going to lend to you again. So why not say, look, we're not going to give you the mortgage holiday because you can afford to pay it? Why? Or maybe the reason they need the mortgage holiday is because they weren't a good person to lend to in the first place. Like maybe the banks are sort of saying, if you need a mortgage holiday, then you're not the kind of person we want to lend to in the future.
I mean, I guess, but it still seems rather unfair. I think we need to hear a statement from whatever banks are actually doing this themselves to see what their point of view is, because it's very important right now to know what their thinking is.
The thing is, I doubt they would ever publicly sort of tell anybody that. It's kind of like their own. It's only it's the opinion of a small group of experts who are saying, take your holiday, but you will be penalised by the banks in the future, because that's what the banks do.
Sadly. This next article is from Legal Futures, and it is talking about a secretary for is it a legal firm? I'm not sure.
Yeah, a law firm, yeah.
Yeah, a law firm. So there was a secretary in a law firm that ended up in a client's will. Essentially what happened, a quick rundown of the story, is that this secretary got in contact with some clients, I do believe, or these clients contacted the secretary to go through the process of this will, and they ended up befriending each other. And in the process of befriending each other, once they were all friends, and they were all, I guess it seems like they had a proper friendship. It's very strange, or they still have a proper friendship is what I mean. The secretary, this individual, offered to do the will for them, and that's where the problems arose, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she Miss Mansfield befriended the clients, and they became like family friends, they say now. Like, they regard her as part of their family now. And I guess the real problem was that the client came in originally for the will, and then she ended up being friends with them, and now she took over the will. So her employer is claiming that she basically took the work from him. But,
yeah.
I don't think her being in the will was the problem. I don't think, although the judge sort of said it was all very suspicious or strange. But what's other things? Yeah, she was ordered to pay $7,700 in costs because she claimed some other things, that she was disabled and she was disabled because she was dyslexic. But I don't see what that had to do with any of it.
No, apparently, she says it was discrimination. But
the judge said something about your disability was nothing to do with it somewhere.
Bottom or something. I remember we looked at it.
It says it's also the case that there's no medical evidence that the errors, of which there are many, were in fact related to dyslexia. But it's saying errors, like, did she put herself in the will? But it seemed as if they were friends. And
I mean, we've looked at this article and we didn't exactly find something that said that. What we found was what we've said. I mean, I feel like the article could say things in a bit more of a simple manner, because it feels like it's going into other things rather than, talking about what actually occurred. It's talking about every other thing, which is very strange.
It's also weird here as well. Mr. Bressington, who's the partner at the firm, offered her $10,000 over this disability thing, and then she claimed $25,000, and then the judge rejected it and said you should have taken the $10,000, and then charged her $7,700. So instead of getting $10,000, she ended up losing $7,700.
I don't know. I mean, claims of dyslexia, discrimination, and claims of dyslexia. If you're being discriminated and you're looking to be paid for it, I mean, 10 grand. I don't know. Like, is quite a bit. I mean,
in the old days, they would have just said you shouldn't really have dyslexic people working on paperwork, because surely one of the requisites of working on paperwork is that you're kind of literate and able to deal with, if you can't spell properly and you write all the wrong things in the wrong places, kind of rules you out, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, either way, is still, no reason to be discriminatory towards anyone, of course. I don't know. I think she should have taken the 10 grand.
Yeah, go and read that article if you're interested in this, because it's pretty lengthy and it's a bit difficult to access.
Yeah. Moving on, we have another article from
Evening Standard Homes.
Evening Standard Homes and Property. I can't get it. So this article talks about the property market, which after Brexit was apparently powering back. And then obviously the coronavirus plunged it into a deep freeze. Yeah, that title's pretty self-explanatory. So this article is obviously talking about how before Brexit, the property market was declining steadily, and then after Brexit it was already sort of powering back up. It was coming back to what it was, and now obviously with the coronavirus we've had a sharp and bad freeze. But I think we've already looked at some charts as well in this other article we covered just moments ago, that also said and gave us some more details on how bad this freeze is. What do you think about this, Matthew?
Yeah, further down it says that Rightmove hasn't even been able to produce any monthly house price indexes for the last couple of months, or maybe it's just this month. They couldn't do it for the first time ever since it was made, since the website started. And estate agent Knight Frank says there could be 500,000 fewer home sales this year if the lockdown continues. So that's going to be a big hit on the overall thing. But yeah, this is similar. We've covered this several times. Same sort of theme. I suppose that we've got a little bit more info now. There's a bit more data coming through, filling in the blanks of what, there's been a lot of predictions. I would say that they're probably right on, because there's not much activity at the moment in the market. So let's move on to our final article.
Our final article for the week, ladies and gentlemen. So this is our lovely house, obviously from Country Life. It is a bill by... So the article is sort of a listing at the same time. It's talking about a advert which is buy one stone-built cottage and you get one free with spectacular views from both. So, one thing that struck odd for me at least was the fact that this is all in kind of the same thing. So these two cottages are actually kind of... It looks like they would come as a full package anyway, because they're all like in the same area, in the same space. But regardless, this is in the countryside of the Isle of Anglesey.
Anglesey, yeah.
Anglesey.
For anyone that doesn't know where Anglesey is, it's at the north of Wales in the Irish Sea, I do believe. It's a famous island that most people would visit at one time or another.
This property, or these two cottages, are in the on this isle, and they are in the middle of a lot of farm fields. It seems, unless they're not farm fields, they seem to be fields at least.
I mean, it's pretty private out there. You haven't got any neighbours, unless you sell one of the cottages. So right next to each other. It says later on that they they were two different places, and then they were bought by the same person, and the person joined the title. But he says that if you want to buy them, he can split them again into two different places if you want to sell one and keep one.
I mean, this article's given us the price just at the beginning. So these two cottages together, right, they are £670,000. Yeah, so that's both of them together, which doesn't seem a bad price. At first I was thinking...
views.
Yeah,
over,
you get
like,
sea
rolling
view.
green hills.
It's lovely. It is nice, but I was thinking, do you get... we were both thinking, are you going to get one of these massive plots of land as well? I mean, the two cottages come with a good bit of garden, a good bit of a small bit of land that surrounds them, so it's nice to run around and do something. Yeah.
Some trees, you've got grass. It's all nicely fenced off.
So going off of this, it's very likely that you don't get one of these big chunks of land. I guess that would probably make the price go to something like 1 million, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less.
But if you're not allowed to build there, I mean, maybe you can there because it's kind of isolated. But the land wouldn't be worth much if you weren't allowed to build.
True.
So the larger of the two cottages
nice.
has 3 bedrooms and a kitchen, breakfast room and a sitting room.
Wow.
The smaller one, what does that have? 2 bedrooms, kitchen, breakfast room, open plan sitting room, its own garden.
Oh, so the smaller property has its own garden, while the big one has a sort of a shared garden, or does it even have a garden?
No, I think it's got a little... Is this the smaller one?
I see that.
They're both about the same size, aren't they?
Yeah, they both look about the same size. I mean, looking at what it just said...
Got a little garden here, and this one's got a pretty big garden.
Yeah, looking at what it just said, apparently the big one has 3, the smaller one has 2 bedrooms. So they don't seem very small.
You don't really need more garden, but it just looks small because you're surrounded by so much green, so many sort of big green fields.
I mean, amidst the lockdown, this amount of garden would be spectacular for any sort of sports, any sort of activities. It's it's a very nice. It's just confusing because of how much land is around you. You might even feel a bit jealous and say, "Why don't I get a lot of land?"
It's all kind of empty. Like this kitchen is completely emptied out. It looks like the owner just wants to get out of there now.
Yeah, but it's strange because the other rooms are definitely furnished. Like if you scroll up, you can see there's that lounge even has a television in it, which is very strange.
It's like it's set up to sell because there's no DVDs in next to the TV, or it's all too clean. It's just like they put a rug and some cushions to sort of give someone an idea of what it would look like.
And then once you sell it, he quickly comes back and he says, "Oh, sorry, I'm just getting my pillows and my rugs."
Yeah, he might throw them in. But yeah, that's it's tempting, isn't it? If you had that kind of money to just get something isolated out there. I wonder what the internet is like, and I wonder how far you are from a shop.
Yeah, it's not a bad price either, in my opinion. It's pretty good for the amount that you get. That is it not? It's very nice.
If you could, it seems value for money for me. But you've got to think about every time you go to the mainland, you're gonna have to get a ferry. I don't think they got an airport there because you'd have to go to the mainland to fly on holiday or anything. You'd probably end up wanting to become a farmer eventually.
I mean, regardless, it's a good plot of land for maybe even some rich folk who'd just like a little bit of a vacation or a break sort of area. A break house where they can go over there and just have a bit of a break. Either way, that concludes this week's podcast.
Yes, thanks again for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something about the news that we went over. We're trying to keep it as close to conveyancing as possible. We sort of we go into estate agency a little bit, we go into sort of general law, maybe like we do like those ones where they strike people off because it's interesting to see what mistakes they might have made, or if we can learn anything from it. Drop a comment in the comments section if you want to hear anything particular on here, or you want us to cover. If you've got a good news source that we should be following, let us know that. We'll just keep bashing these out. We've got number 10 next week. Looking forward to that.
Yep, definitely. That will mark our 10th week doing this, and our 2.5 months doing this. And remember, everyone, you need to stay safe, stay indoors. If you can go outside for some sports, that'd be great. Hopefully things get better. It looks like things might already be sort of getting better after quarantine and everything has been put in place. It seems numbers might start going down very soon.
Well, you can see that the numbers drop very fast. That's what we're seeing in certain countries. So hopefully, it looks bad now, but hopefully it will drop off pretty quick. So yeah, thanks for tuning in again, and see you next. Well, not see you. You'll hear us next week.
Yeah, exactly.
If you tune in.
All right.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.